All right, welcome, my beautiful people. Happy Sunday. If you are football fans, hope you're enjoying the playoffs. Today, let me go into the agenda for today. Here's what I want to cover on today's episode. There's a lot of important news out there, and I want to talk about how hotels are becoming more retailers. Very important news about one of the shifts the hotel industry is making, and one of the things that I've been talking about for a while now for short-term rental operators. I want to talk about the merger between Casago and Vacasa. I want to talk about the global STR regulations that are constantly being brought up and is affecting the short-term rental industry. I want to talk about some airline trends, an update on the ETA Visa, specifically as it relates to Heathrow, London Heathrow. So here's what I want to do. First of all, for those of you that are watching live, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, just list them below, and I will try to get to them during this broadcast. If not, if you're watching this on the replay, then just comment below and I'll try to get these questions answered. But more importantly, if there's a topic that you want me to dive deep into and you want me to do a video on it, let me know. Or if you want to talk specifically one-on-one, just buy me a coffee. Okay? So let me begin about what's trending in the hotel industry. And the reason I'm bringing this trend up is because it's one of the trends that I've been talking about that all short-term rental operators are doing. And this is gaining a lot of traction. And what it is that hotels are no longer just trying to sell rooms, right? They're trying to become a full-fledged retailer. And according to Skift's 2024 Megatrends report, hotel giants like Marriott, Wyndham, Hyatt, they're all making a substantial tech investment, right, for upsell services, and that's really something that you guys need to really stay on top of, understand what it is. So that you can implement it in your business if you're a short-term rental operator. If you are a traveler, this is actually something very good for you because you're going to have the opportunity to have the ability to buy or purchase or just simply upgrade on certain amenities, certain type of rooms, certain types of excursions, events in a particular area. All that stuff you're going to be able to do very shortly through the use of AI in specific reservations, meaning in specific platforms like the Marriott platform, like the Hyatt platform, like you're going to be able to do on Airbnb, Expedia. I've been talking about this one-stop shop type of business proposal or business plan that a lot of these OTAs are trying to do. I refer to it as going vertical. You're going to start to see that now. Let me give you some examples. For example, Marriott is investing over $100 million in 2025 in tech upgrades, and they're at the low end. So, for example, Wyndham's chain of hotels, they're investing $350 million in tech investments. And some of these investments that they started in Q1 of 2025 is already paying off. So, for example, according to IHG, which is the umbrella brand for many of these hotel chains, they're looking at a $20 to $40 per night upsell for just people that are looking to get a better room or more personalized amenities. And that's pretty big, people. When you look at it in the overall picture, if you can increase your average daily rate by $40, what would that do for your business? Just think about that. If you're a short-term rental operator and you're managing either one property or hundreds of properties like we are, a $40 per reservation increase in average daily rate is a lot of money. So it's this, and it's huge. And I've been talking about this for a while. But here's what the ultimate goal is for the hotel, right? Hotels, just like Airbnb, just like I mentioned Uber in the past, Expedia, just like I talked about how everybody's taking the lead from Amazon, how they or Amazon was the pioneer in what I call in vertical, in being a one-stop shop for everything you need in terms of travel, right? So everybody's trying to be that one-stop, go to one platform and get everything you need. So that's ultimately what the goal is. But I want you to think about this and tell me if you think this is a good business practice, something you're interested in, you think it's going to hurt the industry, and that's the following. In each of these, what I refer to as personalized upgrades or upsells that these platforms are doing, I'm going to give you an example of some of the upsells. Like for us, early check-in, late checkout, for us, that's an upsell. That's an extra fee that people need to pay if they want that, right? You're looking at, in terms of hotels, they're going to start to do it in terms of premium rooms. Now, in the past, like for example, I'm a loyal Marriott member. In fact, in my entire 27-year career before I got into short-term rentals, and I traveled extensively, I exclusively stayed in Marriott. And in the past, just because of my loyalty and my status with them, I would get free upgrades when available. I would always get the best rooms. Now, what Marriott and some of these other chains are doing, for those of you that are not loyal members, if you want that corner room, if you want a room at a higher floor, they're actually charging for that. So that's going to be a little extra that you're going to have to pay for these upgrades. Whereas in the past, it would be like, I would say it would be close to that, baked into the price. But, if you, let's say you wanted a standard room for $350, it really didn't matter whether you got one on the 11th floor or you got one on the first floor. The price was the same. Well, now that's going to change a little bit. And I want you to comment below and tell me, do you think that's a good thing? Because, a lot of times it was, the roll of the dice, what room you're going to get. Now it's more of a sure thing if you like being up in higher floors or if you like being in the lower floors. You're going to be able to select that. You're going to get something more personalized. So here's a little snippet of what one of the Marriott CEO mentioned. And he says, hotel want to unbundle or monetize every part of the experience, meaning no longer can you buy one big package, right? They want to separate everything. For example, early check-in, that quiet corner room, the city view, the garden view, the pool view. Some chains like the Hilton even restrict these options to direct bookings, bypassing third-party commissions, meaning OTAs. So what Hyatt's doing is, if you want these options, right? If you want that quiet corner room, if you want a city view or garden view or pool view, the only way you're going to be able to request that and get it is if you book direct through their platform, which is one of the things that, as an operator, I love that strategy, right? It's something that we're looking to see how we can implement in our business. So if you book direct, you're going to get some preference or you're going to get a benefit besides paying less for the room. Because, and I'll bring this out in case you're not aware of it, for those of you that are not super familiar with booking short-term rentals through OTAs, all OTAs are going to charge you a specific fee. And in some cases, like booking.com, we actually increase the rates on Booking because they charge us a lot in booking fees. So to give you an example, we pay 3% to advertise on Airbnb, but we pay 15% to advertise on Booking. So if I'm going to get a reservation for Booking, and if you're booking a reservation on one of our properties through booking.com, you're paying more. So look for other platforms to reserve, but more importantly, book direct, because you're not paying what you're normally, the fees that they're going to charge you, because Booking also charge you 50%. Airbnb, I believe, is 12% that they're charging that. Don't quote me on that, because right off the top of my head, I forgot the number. But nonetheless, you're paying to book a property, or you're paying Airbnb to book a property on their platform, right? So save that money and book direct. And here's a hack that I do in order to save. I usually go on Airbnb to look for properties. And the reason I use the Airbnb platform to look for a property in an area in which I'm not operating in, and it's just because the platform is so super easy to use. I love the user-friendly platform, hence why I think it is one of the #1 used platforms in terms of OTAs for short-term rentals. So I go on there, I look for the property, and once I find a property that I like, then what I do is I Google the property and try to see if that short-term rental operator has a direct booking site, so I can book directly, or if it's on Google Travel. Because oftentimes when it is on Google Travel, Google Travel takes that from either the operator's direct booking website, or they take it from one of their partnerships like Wednesday. There's another, for example, the Hostfully platform. They put their properties on there. There's a lot of criteria in terms of which properties or how they're advertised on Google Travel. But the best way to do it is, if you have a direct booking site, you post your property on Google Travel through your direct booking site. It's going to save you a lot of money. Okay, now let's move on to what I refer to as some big news in the short-term rental world, and that's the merger between Casago and Vacasa. Now, a little bit of background on especially Vacasa. Now, Vacasa for a while was probably one of the fastest growing short-term rental management companies out there. But here's the problem. And I don't have any inside information. It's just an observation from someone in the industry that's been in the industry for a long time, and seeing what's happening from a consumer perspective. And here's what I mean by that. We get a lot of ex-Vacasa property owners, and they come to us. And my question to them is always, how was the experience with Vacasa? And I have not met one conversion or one person that came to us that said anything positive about Vacasa. Not to say that they're not a good company. I'm sure they probably are. That's why they were the fastest growing short-term rental management companies out there. But I firmly believe that they grew so quick that they weren't able to handle the demands of the business. So having said that, if you look at their IPO and you look at their stock, it dropped a lot and it has been dropping steadily. One of the reasons I firmly believe it's because of the quality of their work dropped dramatically, just because of the sheer volume of work that they had. So this merger, and I'm going to read what was written about it, is the merger has the potential to be a game changer for property owners and guests alike. By combining their expertise, right, the two companies aim to improve service quality. The first thing they're talking about, they have to improve service quality. It was horrible, hence why we were getting so many Vacasa customers coming to us, because they were not doing well. And the next thing is because they want to expand their reach and offer a more seamless experience for their stockholders. Now, again, if you're a short-term rental operator, take note, right? And I've said this a lot. and if you follow the channel, you've heard me say this, but for those that don't follow the channel, and this is the first time you're hearing me, if you're a short-term rental operator, growth is essential, but a controlled growth is what's really important. And out of everything that you're doing, you really have to strive to provide a 5-star experience. Your quality of service cannot be bad. If it's bad, you're not going to grow and you're not going to be in this industry for long. Hence why Vacasa stock dropped a lot. And hence why Casago and them decided to merge to see if they can create a better, more synergistic experience for not only the property owner, but for their traveler, right? Now, as a short-term rental operator, don't feel like this mega company is really your competition, because they're not. And I said this before, it doesn't matter if you're operating one property or thousands of property, the steps you have to take to do well in business are exactly the same. So you can accomplish with one property exactly what Vacasa and Casago are trying to accomplish together. And that is just simply providing a 5-star service to not only your travelers, but also to your property owners if you're a short-term rental management company. All right, let's move on to a topic that I've been talking about for, it seems like for the last 6 months, and every episode I have to bring it up because every week we get something new in terms of regulation, right? So now I want to give you 3 new cities that are looking to add or restrict or do something in terms of their short-term rental programs that they have. So for example, Athens in Greece, they're having a 1-year freeze on new short-term rental permits. Now, every single one of these government entities are all saying it's just to control and help lessen the burden on the locals because rents are out of control, and also to control tourism. Now, the controlling tourism part I kind of get, because I do agree that some of these areas, there is a lot of over tourism. Now, I never thought that would be a bad thing. And I personally, if I'm a business owner in that area, I definitely don't think that's a bad thing. And if I'm a government entity that ran my city or my town or my county or my state correctly, it would be a phenomenal thing. But here's the problem, that there's so much mismanagement, so much corruption in local governments and in municipalities that they misuse funds that are being generated by tourists, and they want to blame crime, they want to blame the inflation, they just want to find someone to blame. And right now, the big bad wolf is the short-term rental industry. But I challenge anyone to show me the numbers in which short-term rentals are the cause of the housing affordability in areas, because I still haven't seen the numbers. And again, so far, the numbers that I have seen, like the numbers that came out of New York after they implemented their ban on short-term rentals in the city, the numbers don't prove that ban helped it. In fact, the opposite happened. So I want to see that expanded, because I'm having a hard time believing that a short-term rental in a specific area is causing inflation, is causing crime, and is causing the housing affordability and shortage issue. That, my friends, I don't see a correlate with that. So I need someone to show me the numbers, because I can tell you that the studies that I have done, the studies that I have read, it's not the short-term rental industry. In most cases, in most of the city, it's the uncontrollable migration into these areas that are causing these issues. Now, but let me move on. Egypt, the government of Egypt plans to formalize the STR market with mandatory licensing and a 4% VAT tax on rental income. Currently today, if you're operating in Egypt, there is no licensing requirements and you're not paying a tax on it. And the income that's generated by renting out your property, right? Now, they're trying to formalize that. Again, I don't know what side of the aisle you're on, and I personally don't like government regulation, but I do understand that there should be some controls in place because, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are in the short-term rental industry that are not professional, and we do have to have some control. I don't know, and licensing is one of the ways to control it, and I'm okay with that. And I don't know if the 14% VAT tax in Egypt is actually good or bad. I know for us in the States, that's super high, but it is what it is. The next one, next newest city that implemented some sort of reform and regulation is Alicante, Spain. Now, the country of Spain has been one of those countries that, man, every week, every month, I hear a new city. I hear a new rumor that there's going to be stricter regulations as it relates to short-term rentals throughout the whole country, right? We already know about Madrid. We know about Barcelona. We know about Valencia. And now we're hearing about Alicante. And I think it's just going to continue on. So we'll see what happens. But understand the regulation is part of the short-term rental industry, and I highly recommend if you are an operator that you get involved. Don't just let government officials arbitrarily put out regulations that, again, most of them have no idea what they're talking about. So get involved, be an advocate, join some advocacy groups that protect you. Europe has a great advocacy group that protects tourism. Join those boards, participate in those boards, have your voice heard if you want to stay in the game in those specific areas. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the airline industry. So let's, I talked about this in Q4 of 2024 and going into 2025. The airline industry had a record-breaking year, right? But despite that, there was a lot of issues. So let me just talk about some numbers that I pulled out from TSA, right? A total of 5.85 billion seats were available on passenger flights last year, surpassing the numbers of 2019 by 2%. And the reason why I brought up 2019, the number that I always look at, is because I'm here to tell you that 2020, 2021 were anomalies. You're not going to see those numbers ever again. Those were during the pandemic numbers, and in terms of the rebound of 2021 and 2022, I don't think we're ever going to see, well, let me not say never, but to see those numbers, it's going to take something like a COVID where people were restricted, they couldn't travel. The moment they had the ability to do so, it was like being shot out of a rocket, right? Or out of a cannon. The travel industry boomed during 2021, 2022, and 2023. 2024 got a little bit stabilized, but as I mentioned, in the travel industry, the airline industry, man, that demand was there. It was super high, and as I just mentioned, we saw a record-breaking year in 2024, especially the latter part of 2024. So the question here is, will airfares drop? Will they continue to increase? What do you think is going to happen into 2025 as a result of this high demand of travel by travelers, right? I personally believe that I don't think they're going to drop. I think prices are going to stay high. may slightly increase. Now, again, caveats here are, how are the gas prices going to be? Are they going to drop? Because if they drop, then we're going to probably see a decrease in airfare. And then the next thing is, are airlines going to go back to increasing their routes, because they limited their routes because of lack of staffing, lack of pilots. There is a pilot shortage. So they reduced that. And then I think now the big issue is, especially in the US, we have, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. For example, let me talk about it now. Southwest Airline has become the second airline that DOT, Department of Transportation, is fining for being chronically delayed on flights, right? But one of those reasons why flights are being chronically delayed is because of the staffing shortage, the high demand of travel, and the fact that these airlines are trying to do a lot more with a lot less. And they're flat out can't keep up with the demand. So they either need to figure out what they're going to do with staffing, increase some of these flight routes, because there's and there a lot of these routes are they're known. Like, we already know Fort Lauderdale to JFK, or anything going to JFK, coming out of JFK, as the potential or the likely potential of being delayed. JFK is, it's just too busy of an airport, and there's not enough staffing, both on the airline side and on the FAA side. So we're seeing a lot of that, now, especially with this crazy weather we've been getting. It's been insane. I think this winter is going to be a extra cold, extra snowy winter. So we're going to see even more delays. So just be, on one sense, if you're a traveler, be patient, understand that there's going to be issues. If you're in the airline industry, what are you going to do with the higher demand? And if you're a traveler, tell me what you think. You think the airlines are going to continue or are we going to see an increase in airfare, or are we going to see a decrease in airfare? Let me know. The next thing I'm going to talk about is just a quick update on the ETA visa going into Europe. As I mentioned, you're going to have to get one of these visas to enter Europe. Now, London is the first country to, England is the first country to implement this. But there was a question as to if you're going through London, if you needed it, and London Heathrow Airport, if you're just passing through, meaning if that's one of your layovers and you're continuing to someplace else, do you need to pay for this? And then initially, they said yes, that you needed to do that, even if you're just passing through. They got so much pushback that they're saying that you don't need it. If you're passing through and you're not staying in London, that you don't have to pay for this the ETA visa, which is, and I forget what it stands for now. I'm drawing a blank, but let me see if I see it in my notes real quick. Anyway, can't remember, but it's the European travel entry something. Anyway, let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about, or the last thing I'm going to talk about here, is what makes a top short-term rental listings as it relates to certain amenities, right? And right off the bat, let me just read this article that talks about amenities, right? Guests are looking for listings that enable them to live and work anywhere. I've talked about this before. If you're a short-term rental operator, you have to have Wi-Fi, an area in which someone can work. You have to also be pet friendly. More and more people are traveling and refusing to not travel with their pets. So you have, if you're going to be in this game, allowing people to bring their pets, it's going to be essential. I mean, I, I'm going to give you numbers from last year. 33%, 33% of the travelers were traveling with pets in 2024. I mean, that's a lot of freaking. I'm saying, when I say travel, I'm talking about booking short-term rentals. That those travelers, not necessarily someone flying, but if they're going to a destination that has a short-term rental, 33% of people were looking for pet-friendly properties. I mean, that's a big chunk of the market. So if you're not allowing that, I'm here to tell you, you're going to have some issues. So let's look at some other top amenities. I kind of already talked about it, which is Wi-Fi, workstations. Having not just basic cookware, but having a full array of items in the kitchen for people to cook. We made this mistake. We used to just provide the basics. But in the last year, we've been upgrading all of our properties by adding a lot of other things that we normally wouldn't have added to, like pasta stringers, like baking sheets, the mixers. There's so many items that we added to our kitchen just because we were always getting demand. People asking for certain things that we didn't have. So we're now adding that. Now, here's an interesting stat. I'm going to read this because the numbers are a little higher than I thought, or than there were back then. And this I just found right on the Airbnb website. As the pandemic pet boom continues, right? Guests are looking for listings that allow them to bring their furry friends along and that have outdoor space for them to roam around. So here's a key component here. If you have a single family residence, highly recommend that your backyard is fenced in, or that you have a designated area for people to let their dogs out. That's another one that's high demand. I get a lot of people asking me on my properties, is my backyard fenced in? Can I let my dogs roam in the back, right? In fact, they're searching for gardens and backyards, or the search for gardens and backyard has increased by 343% compared to 2023. Pet friendly is also the most searched for amenity by guests so far this year. I'm talking about 2024. So again, if it's the most searched amenity, that gives you a clue, right? The FBI agents really call that a clue. So you really have to have that. There's a filter for it. That filter increased by 65% since 2021. These numbers are crazy, people. So if you want to do that, here's a couple of things also. And this one is kind of important because one city has banned this, and that is self check-in, right? 13% of people looking for properties are looking for have used the filter for self check-ins. Now, in some cases, that's not possible, so you're being eliminated from searches. And now, if you go to Rome, you're completely eliminated because Rome does not allow self check-ins on any property. And then the last one is instant book. 12% more. There's a 12% increase in that from last year. Now, I just, that one there, I really don't understand why people don't have it. Other than the fact that I know there's a lot of you that baby your homes or baby your property and you want to filter your guests. Man, if you're that person, get out of the freaking game, man. I don't understand why you are in this industry if you have to baby your property. One thing is to take care of your property, but the other thing is to, have a laundry list of stuff for your guests to do. Because of people like this, right? It's why we had probably one of the funniest and best commercial that I've seen so far that Verbal did with Nick Saban. If you haven't seen it, Google it and watch the commercial. It is historical, but it is a true slap in the face from hosts that don't want to have instant booking because they want to have full control. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Let me see here, just make sure I got anything else. Anyway, my beautiful people, that's going to be it. If you got any value out of this, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, follow me on Instagram, share this with someone that's in the short-term rental industry. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.